Take a deep breath. Okay, we have a special last minute fill-in for the absent virtual reality of the Koran. We're going to let him get set up because he wasn't meant to be here, because he called a little while ago, said he wasn't going to be here. But me, I don't hold on to stuff. I'm really easy about it. In fact, I had a session with my ex-wife today, and we were like this.
Well,
together. So, O.J. Simpson, what do you think of O.J. Simpson?
I heard he was in the news. Can I get on the set with you, or am I not allowed?
You can be on.
Well, they don't see me unless you move over.
I don't know if I want to do that.
Oh, well, maybe you don't. We can move
Maybe
me back.
I don't.
Oh, there we are.
Okay.
Oh, well.
Patriots. Patriots were losers to the O.J. White Broncos, manning up with Von Miller. Thought you were going to be in therapy.
I cut it short because I wanted to see if I could make it here. It worked out that way.
Okay.
So if you'd like, I can tell you, if you only, what you want, I could tell you about my mom if you want.
Okay.
I'm supposed to start?
Mm-hmm.
Well, March 1st.
March 1st. That was a special date for you. I surmise.
I was born in 1941 on March 1st.
1941, that's going to make you... Wait a second. Let me do the math. You got to do the numbers. I went to Harvard. I can figure this out. But I'm having a senior moment. So you go on.
Well, I'm going to be 75 years old.
75. That's old. Yeah. I mean, relative.
But someone said...
Someone said, okay.
You can take a year off after you're 50. So when you're 51, you're 49. When you're 52, you're 48.
So you're 25?
I feel it.
Good.
Somehow getting, I think, over a sinus cancer scare makes me feel like I'm born again.
Oh, born again. You're a born again. There are lots of them out there.
Yes.
And I think they're voting for Ted Cruz tonight. But they didn't have your background.
So I wanted to, because that Out of the Blue Gallery across the street.
Out of the Blue Gallery on Mass Avenue.
Yep.
That famous center of, well, we don't know what it's a center of.
It's a center of whenever they,
art.
However hard they try to gentrify it, you wouldn't like this, it maintains its gritty character.
It is gritty, but it has so much space. It can't be cheap to rent all that space. I don't see how they can make it without having a second secret business.
Oh, you mean the Out of the Blue Gallery?
Yes.
We won't go there, though, will we?
We won't go there.
We've gotten enough.
We've gone enough.
Yes. Yeah.
We've gone far enough.
Yes, we do want to get
We
killed.
don't want to get sued.
Or
We
killed.
could get sued. Killed. Killed. Well, we could get killed.
Sued might be easier.
So we could be abortion providers.
Of ourselves?
No, there was a film at Sundance called Trapped
Yep.
that won one of the Sundance Award, and it follows these abortion providers against all these trap laws. Trap means targeted regulation of abortion providers. And they're expensive regulations that have made all but one clinic in Mississippi close. And in Alabama, there are, I don't know how many there are, but not many, have similar regulations. But never mind, that doesn't tell us about your mother.
Well, it could.
It could. That happened to your mother?
My mother had an abortion, yes. But
No, but no, you're here.
One of the old-fashioned.
It didn't work.
Not with me, but with my our fourth sibling would have been my third sibling.
Oh, I could tell a story about abortions too, but I'm not going to because it's not. I'm graciously.
So my mother at 16
16?
is in high school in New Haven, and the kids say something like, "Evelyn, you're a bastard." And she said, what do you mean? Your mother and father aren't really your mother and father.
That's what they say to her?
Yes,
Is it true?
yes.
It is true?
She goes home and asks her dad, are you really my dad? And he says, we adopted you.
Well, that's better than other possible answers.
Although he did tell me, my grandfather, he would take the secret of my mother's conception to his grave.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
He took it to his grave.
took it
He
to
was
his
as
grave.
good as
Yeah,
his word.
Yes, I didn't.
And now you'll take it to his grave too.
So I don't know. There's that my father thought that that my mother's father had made my mother with someone else.
Are you a product of your mother and your mother's father?
No.
Oh, phew. I thought that would be a first-time revelation. It could be. We could go into the New York Post if that were true.
So my mother, so she discovers that she's not what she thought she was. And I think it made her whole life, she was always looking for what's true underneath what appeared.
But she didn't find out what's true?
She found out she was adopted, but she didn't find out anymore.
Oh.
And for the first year of her life, I think she was a whole year. She was in one of these homes for I guess children out of wedlock.
Mm.
And
She was out of wedlock.
yes. And I went to look once.
So how did the kids in her class know she was a bastard?
I guess their parents told them.
How did they know?
Well, they would know that my mother's mother wasn't pregnant, and all of a sudden my mother is there. There's this little girl, Evelyn.
Maybe.
For sure. I mean,
Right, but usually when those things happen, they would go away for a while to sort of simulate.
Oh, you mean the
pregnant.
parents would go away?
Yeah, the mother.
The
It's
parents.
only the mother, not both parents.
The mother would go away to simulate. I don't. You're making this
Yes?
up.
No, I'm not. This is really what happened. They'd like ship him off to like an uncle.
No, that's what happened to my mother's true mother. When she was that. Right, but I'm talking about the parents who adopted her in New Haven.
Oh.
The people in the community would know that that there was no big belly, and then all of a sudden there was a baby.
Oh, whoa! Now I get it.
Right, but my mother's real mother, Ruth Toulon.
She found out who her real mother
Yes,
was?
you can find that out, yes.
Well, you could find that. You couldn't for a while,
Yes,
for a long
that's-
time.
yes, and-
Closed adoptions.
And found out, and Ruth Toulon lived in Cleveland and came to Hartford.
I thought she lived. I thought you.
Yeah, my
Haven.
mother lived, her parents lived in New Haven, but this biological mother came to Hartford, stayed at the YMCA, and gave birth to my mother, and then left.
Oh.
And left. And there's a huge Toulon family in New Haven, and I'm sure I'm connected to them. I went to visit once.
Well, she came from where? Did she come?
She came from Cleveland.
Wait a
This
second.
one,
You're confusing me.
Ruth Toulon, who gave birth to my mother, came from Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent, just as you said, they sent her away to Hartford, Connecticut, to family.
Oh, to more Toulons.
Yes.
Oh, there were Toulons all over the place.
All over Hartford, yeah.
Oh, they were just tooling around.
Yeah, well, they come from. It comes from a name of a city in Odessa.
Odessa isn't the same as Toulon.
No, but Odessa's a big
Like a
country.
suburb.
Yes,
Oh.
maybe Odessa's just a city, but yes,
Yeah.
or maybe a suburb.
Mm.
So my mother, for the rest of her life, that's probably what helped me become a philosopher, knew that underneath the world that seems to be what it is, isn't. It's real different.
Whoa, that's
Oh.
very philosophical. You
Oh.
better say that again for our listening audience, because they're not used to this, like, jacking up the philosophical
I mean,
level.
whatever appears, whatever you're experiencing, truth is, there's another truth, often an opposite truth. You would know this.
An opposite truth.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
You think that your mother and father are your mother and father? No.
My mother and father are my mother and father.
Well,
I guarantee
We
it.
don't know this.
We do know it.
Do you know what?
We do know it.
Do you
we
know?
do
you
know
know?
this. My mother and
I have
father
question-
were my
I have
mother
a
and father.
Question for you.
Toulons. They weren't Toulons. I can tell you
I
that.
have a question for you.
Yes.
Why, in the Jewish tradition, at least the Orthodox tradition, are you only Jewish if you have a Jewish mother?
Because that's the only way you know for sure.
Yes, exactly.
I'm
So
going to
how-
answer question.
So how do you know your dad is really your dad?
Because no one ever called me a bastard.
But maybe they were polite.
I don't think so.
No, okay. I pass. You win.
Good. I'm glad I win
Okay.
because this is my show.
Yes.
And if you won, that wouldn't be good. It would lower the respect of my viewers and listeners.
I understand the ground rules.
Okay. Good.
Yes.
Good.
So far it's 1 for you and none for me, right?
Yes.
Great. And we'll keep score.
We'll keep score. Absolutely.
But if I can't
And we'll have replacement refs if the regular refs don't score it right.
Yes, but if I get even 1, I might never be invited back again, right?
That's true.
I think I'm going to happily be with 0.
Okay, zero.
Another
It'll be a zero-sum
Although I have a
game.
really
It'll be a zero-sum
I'm afraid to
game.
ask you this question.
Oh,
That might be
yes.
the end of me.
It could be the end.
Why
Why?
in tennis, when you have the score of 0,
Love. You call it love.
Why is it called love, though? Why would 0 be love?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yes, I'm afraid.
Well, you're gonna get one.
I think I should tell you the answer so it's not a quiz, right?
Okay. Yes.
In French, the word for egg is l'œuf, for egg. And so they turned it into love in English. So
Wait,
in French, the word for an egg.
but you don't. That's for an egg. That's
but
not
an egg
for
looks
zero,
like,
though.
An egg looks like a 0, though, kind of. Like,
For French people only. For French people only.
yeah. So that's how it came. That's how the word love came.
Oh, I don't know if I believe that. I've heard a lot of. I've heard copacetic comes from kolbacetic.
Jeez, aesthetic means righteous and good.
Yes.
All but righteous.
Everything's okay.
Wow. But all but righteous doesn't
That's
mean
what my friend Richie, who is also a Cambridge resident, so I can refer to him. That's what he said. Copacetic comes from the Yiddish.
all but righteous? Aesthetic
Coal, everything. Kol means everything.
Yes, kol. So
Everything's in order.
Oh, kol but means but. Kol
No.
pathetic.
Ba is in.
Oh, yes, that's right. But is in. 2 for you and 0 for me.
2 for
I'm
me.
doing good.
0.
I'm doing good.
Now you're doing good.
I'm a good guest.
Now you're a good guest.
Okay, so there's my mother's revelation,
Okay.
and we have explained to the audience why. Therefore, some people, or for my mother, whatever was going on, she knew. Oh, the opposite could be true underneath.
The opposite was true in her case.
Yes.
In her case, yes.
So
She's
ice skating in New York City in Radio City Music Hall ice rink.
How she lived in New Haven? How did she get to Radio Haven?
She's now grown up. We're jumping ahead.
Oh, we're jumping ahead.
Jumping
Okay.
really ahead.
This is one of those new wave cinema kind of thing.
Yeah.
Jump cut.
Yes.
Okay, we're in Radio City.
And she falls on the ice.
She falls on the ice. Did she hurt herself?
No, and this man comes and helps her up.
Your father.
Yes.
Oh, I got that one 3 for me.
Yes. And which my mother laughed.
But it was all downhill from there.
It was yes.
Pretty much.
Well, I think it's actually a beautiful story, but you have to have a lot of patience, more than we have the time for this show.
More than we have time for this show.
But they eventually, I could jump ahead and say my father in his late 60s, maybe 70s, is holding my mother's hand. We can demonstrate if you'd like. No? Oh, we can, yes. And he says to her, he was holding it like this though, says to her, honey, we wasted 40 years of our life fighting. And they smiled with some tears in their eyes. Called her honey.
He didn't usually call her honey?
No.
So, I don't usually call my honey either.
Yes, I don't either, but I try. My baby.
It seems a little old-fashioned in not a good way.
I call my...
Like Trixie, like
I have many names for my...
Ralph Cramden.
Do you have many names for your... I have many names for my...
Habibi, Bashert.
You don't call her that.
Yes,
you
I do. I do.
You do? Wow,
I do.
That's so beautiful. I call my...
Schwarzer, please.
You're going to get in trouble with you.
No, I do that. Yes.
Oh, but even on television, though. Maybe we won't tell people what this means.
Oh, whose show is this, Mikey?
Hold it, don't tell me.
Okay, Falasha. It's a Falasha show.
Okay, on we go.
Okay, on we go.
Although I forgot
You better hurry up.
I forgot what I was going to
We're
say.
in Radio City, ice.
Yeah.
On the ice.
Oh no, he picks
40 years
They
later.
get married, yes, and they... Oh, and although my mother, alas, tells me, you know, our honeymoon was so disappointing.
She tells him that in in that moment?
No,
she tells you.
Me this.
She didn't have very good boundaries, your mother.
No, to say the least.
We will say the least,
They
since
had
this
the-
is a family
Yeah,
hour.
they spent their honeymoon at Niagara Falls, and as Oscar Wilde correctly observed when he saw Niagara Falls, he said the only thing more disappointing than Niagara Falls is the honeymoons that people spent here.
I don't really get it.
The only thing more disappointing than Niagara Falls.
But Niagara Falls isn't, I've never been.
For him it was disappointing.
Oh.
And he said the only thing more disappointing is the honeymoons that folks spent
I was
there.
getting arrested for being like...
No, the honeymoons, my mother was so disappointed with the honeymoon.
Oh, she was so And
told me.
she told you?
Yes.
Oh, that's not a good idea.
This is how they get married. I mean, I'm glad to get your comments on this. They go to my cousin Esther's home, my mother's cousin, and they're having dinner, and cousin Esther turns to my mother and says, do you love Charles?
Charles?
My father.
Oh, your father, okay.
And my mother says yes, and she turns to Charles, do you love Evelyn? And Charles says yes, and cousin Esther says, oh good, then you can get married.
What?
Yes, this is what my
You have a strange family.
And so they walk.
My cousin would never say that to me.
Yes, thank goodness.
Thank
so
goodness.
they walk out. These are all stories my mother tells me. And my mother says, I don't really want to yet. Isn't it rushing things? And my father says, if we don't get married now, I'm going to break up with you.
It's usually the other way around.
Which means?
The woman says, if we don't get married now, I'm going to break up with
well,
you.
this is at least according to my mom. So they get married. And,
Jeez.
And then have this disappointing honeymoon.
Jeez. This is a real downer.
Yeah, this is good.
No wonder you're you.
Yes. It gets worse from here.
It's worse?
Way worse.
How can it get worse? It sounds as bad as it can get.
Wait, my mother does tell me that being pregnant with me is the happiest time of her life.
Oh, well that's a ego builder.
I asked my father, was I planned much later? And he says, well, you weren't planned at that time, but we were thinking of having you in the future.
Oh, and that's why you're so philosophical.
Why would that be?
Because you really should be in the future.
Oh, I'm down.
According to your parents.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm going backwards.
You should be me.
Oh, good. I'm doing good though, right?
You are doing good.
So, I'm born.
You're born.
And they have a plan to only feed me every 4 hours.
Oh, I know that plan. It was in all the books at the time.
That famous doctor.
Spock.
Yes.
Dr. Spock, yes.
A good man, but that was horrible. And so...
But it's a good thing you weren't Ferberized.
What does that mean?
Dr. Ferber. You let the kid cry. You let him cry it out.
Yeah, that was hard too. So I cried. They let me cry too. I cried because they wouldn't feed me.
I can understand that.
And then when at the end of the 4th hour came over, because they didn't want to spoil the child supposedly.
Spare the rod, so they whacked you.
They didn't whack me, but they didn't feed me.
That would have really screwed you up.
Oh, that's coming soon.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't feed me, and so at the end of the 4th hour, I refused to eat. Good for me.
You refused? This sounds just like you. You've kept this up for 75 years, being just like this.
So I refused to eat.
This is how I know you. This is exactly how you are.
Tell me, how is this how exactly how I am?
You refuse what you need most.
Such as? I'm afraid to ask.
Oh, don't ask.
Okay, I did.
We'll take a deep breath.
So my father holds down my hands.
He holds down like that, like crucified.
Yes. Like
oh, maybe he wasn't Jewish. Your father, is that the next thing? Your father wasn't really Jewish.
So he holds down my hands.
He holds down your hands.
And my mother.
Does he nail them into a cross or anything? No.
Holds them down though, and my mother forces, I guess, food or liquid down my throat in order that I wouldn't die because I wouldn't.
Yuck!
Yes.
It's like being in Abu Ghraib or Guantanamo.
And they did this
force feeding
again and again and again.
Oh my God! No wonder you're so ambivalent.
Well, how does this turn into ambivalent?
Well, you get fed, which you really need, but since you're refusing it, you're fighting as hard as you against to not get what you actually need.
Absolutely craving, but I was good for me though. You know, I'm in some ways, don't you feed me in your schedule.
Oh, that's what you were saying. Even then, you were ahead of your time.
Yes,
your father thought you were in the future, but you were really in the past.
I was a rebel with the cause. He actually told me before he died, he says, he told me about this, which is very kind.
Yes.
You know, so I can understand who I am as you are understanding.
Yes.
And he said, that's why you're so stubborn, he said.
Oh, wow. He had his opinions, didn't he? Did he always think you were stubborn?
I wonder what they thought growing up when they saw what they had created.
Oh, they thought, wow, we shouldn't have any more children.
Well, that's why my mother eventually had an abortion, but not...
Oh, not your brother, the one who tried to steal all your money.
No.
Oh, good.
That's not part of this story.
Maybe she should have aborted him and let the other one go.
We will go there another time.
Oh, another time.
So When I grew older, so eating was a problem to begin with.
I can see why.
And then we had what I call the tragedy of the open mouth at our dinner table.
The tragedy of the open mouth.
That's
Wow.
what I eventually decided to call
That sounds
it.
very philosophical.
I try to give them names in order to maybe
Make them happen, make them real.
run away from the horror.
Oh.
So before dinner, and my father would, before dinner, he would do this with his hands on his...
Well, our viewing audience can't see
that. Yes, it
you
would-
rubbing
yeah,
your
my thigh.
sweatpants.
Yes.
But not in a bad way.
No.
We wouldn't want to give our audience, because there are certain things you can't say or do.
And we might not even have time to say this because we're almost out of time.
We're going to take a deep breath. Okay, so you can finish this chapter. We only have a minute to finish this chapter.
That's right,
Maybe
hand.
left.
So my mother would, and then my father would be hungry. He's rubbing his thighs, cause probably to give himself some comfort. Then as soon as the bread's on the table, he eats it, starts eating it, because he's empty inside, because this is a hard family. My mother comes and says, "Charlie, you're eating before I sit down. I made this dinner. You're ruining the family spirit," which makes him eat even more. He gets hungry, and she starts yelling even. You're what are you still eating? I told you to wait. And at one time, my brother, my father says, "If you open your mouth one more time, I'm going to throw this coffee cup with coffee at you." And my mother's brave like I and goes, "Ah!"
Wow.
And he throws it, and my brother has to lock my mother in the bathroom, so because she wants to hit him back.
Well, I bet she does.
And that's the tragedy of the open mouth, because neither of them could keep their mouth shut.
Neither of them could keep their mouth